So, the Initiator role spoke to you, and you want to main an Initiator, but not sure which one? Well, we are here to do a deep dive on all the Initiators and what they can accomplish on a team. Before we deep dive into the Initiators, let's take a look at some of the terminology we'll be using in this video. Our first term is Recon. Recon is where you're able to throw a deployable to be able to scan an area to gain information for the team. Enemies can be seen on the minimap by all allies. Intel is where you're taking control of a summon and using their eyes to gain information for the team. Enemies are only seen through the deployable or the user. Area control slows down enemy momentum not through damage or stuns, but by limiting vision and second-guessing decisions, such as smokes, blinds, or flashes. Area denial completely stops enemy momentum by different means, such as damage, stuns, or slows. If enemies walk through an area denial ability, it will cause damage or crowd control. We will also be discussing the difference between Recon Initiators and Flex Initiators. Without further ado, let's get into our first Initiator agent, Sova. For the longest time, Sova was a must-have on any team comp as he was the only Recon Initiator in the game. Sova is able to control the pace of the round and gather ridiculous amounts of intel without putting himself in danger. Sova's drone is an intel ability that allows the user to take control of the drone and what it sees. The drone is able to clear corners and gain vision on enemies without putting your team at risk. Before the drone's duration nerf, it was one of the most powerful non-ultimate abilities in the game. His Recon Dart is one of the 2 Recon abilities in the game. He shoots his Recon Dart, and once it hits a wall, it pulses 3 times, and if anyone is caught in the line of sight of the dart, they'll be marked on the map for all allies to see. His Shock Darts are useful area control abilities, as he's able to shoot them out from faraway distances and deal decent damage. His ultimate, Hunter's Fury, allows him to shoot out 3 map-wide shots that deal damage and mark enemies for short duration. If you enjoy playing from the back lines, but still helping your front line push forward and clearing angles, then Sova is the Initiator for you. Up next is Valorant's newest Initiator and agent released. Fade is the other Recon Initiator, but plays a more aggressive role rather than a passive background role that Sova plays. Fade has made her mark in Valorant and Pro Play, taking over Sova as the go-to Recon Initiator due to what her kit brings. Let's start with her Recon ability, Haunt. She can throw her Haunt orb, and when it lands, it immediately pings everybody that is in line of sight of the orb. It also leaves trails that follow the enemy for a certain duration, which Fade can use with her other abilities. Her Prowlers are her main form of intel, as she can send them out and maneuver them however she wants to. If the Prowler spots an enemy or a trail, it will lock on to that enemy or trail and chase them down until it reaches them. Once the Prowler hits the enemy, it nearsights them, which reduces their vision for a certain amount of time. Her Seize is a projectile that can be thrown, and if any enemy is in the radius of it, they'll be tethered to the middle, unable to leave the radius, taking 75 decay damage, and become deafened. This ability is incredible for combos with her teammates, such as Raze's grenades. Limiting enemy movements allows for your team to push up and know exactly where the enemy is. Fade's ultimate, Nightfall, is a large rectangular projectile that if it passes through any enemy, will leave them deafened, take decay damage, and leave a trail following them for 12 seconds. Fade's ultimate is incredible for post-plant and sight rush scenarios, as it completely hinders enemies' hearing so they cannot tell how close you are to them. It can allow for extremely sneaky plays by your teammates. If you enjoy gathering intel for your team while also being able to make big swing plays by yourself, then Fade is the Initiator for you. Before we move on to Flex Initiators, let's break down the difference between Sova and Fade's Recon ability. Sova's Recon Dart has infinite range until it hits a wall, pulses 3 times, but enemies can hide from each pulse if they know the timing correctly. It can be destroyed. It can be considered an area control ability as it lasts longer than Fade's Recon and prohibits enemies from moving into the radius unless they want to be marked. Fade's Haunt has a set range of a 2-second airtime before it drops, but it is an instantaneous recon, and it also can be destroyed. Fade's Haunt is a better recon ability because of its line of sight availability, but it's on a shorter duration compared to Sova's Dart. Fade's Haunt also leaves trails for further intel. Moving on to Flex Initiators. Breach does not have any recon or intel in his kit, but he provides a lot of crowd control and area denial to make up for it. Breach's signature ability is called Fault Line, which allows Breach to charge up a straight line projectile in front of him, which after a delay concusses anyone in the radius. Breach also has 2 flashes that he deploys on a wall and flashes the other side of the wall. This flash allows him to clear corners and take angles that are more difficult to clear with a normal projectile flash. He also has a great area denial ability in Aftershock, which after a short windup pulses 3 times in an area, dealing damage each pulse. It's great for choke points or to stall movement from the enemy. His ultimate, Rolling Thunder, has the same rectangular radius as Fade's ult, but instead of Deafen and Decay, Breach's ult knocks enemies up and concusses them, which slows their movement and fire rate for duration. Breach's ult is one of the best ults to use on a site, as it usually clears every angle and anyone on site will become concussed and stunned for a decent amount of time. If you enjoy pressuring angles with multiple abilities and enjoy stalling enemy lines, then Breach is the initiator for you. Before Fade, Skye was seen as the Sova-esque agent when she was released. The only reason people said that was because they both have an intel ability that they can control, Sova with his drone and Skye with her dog respectfully. It wasn't until a couple months after her release that people started to realize that she is played more as an aggressive flex initiator rather than a recon initiator like Sova. With that said, let's talk about Skye's dog ability. Her Trailblazer allows her to take control of a dog and maneuver her way through the map to try to spawn an enemy. She can make the dog jump and pounce at an enemy, dealing a small amount of damage and concussing them. Similar to Breach, she also has 2 flashes, but they work in a different way. Skye can send out her birds, which are her flashes, that she can control similar to Fade's Prowler. Once she's let go of the flash button, the flash pops, flashing anyone in line of sight. This ability is an extremely strong flash because Skye controls every aspect of it, where it goes and when it flashes. She has an AoE heal, which is the only one of its kind, as she can heal her whole team at once. Her ultimate are her Seekers, which will automatically chase after 3 enemies and detect their location for Skye and her team. It's a powerful intel ultimate as it shows you exactly where the enemies are. If you enjoy both being a passive and aggressive support with abilities that work for them both ways, then Skye is the initiator for you. KO's kit is pretty unique as a flex initiator, as he has certain CC that nobody else has in the game. KO has the ability to suppress enemies, which makes him not be able to use any abilities for a certain amount of time. His signature ability is his knife. His knife is a thrown intel projectile that once lands, scans the area, suppressing all enemies in it, and letting KO and the team know which agents were present. The difference between KO's knife and Sova and Fade's recon ability is that KO's knife doesn't mark enemies on the map. It only lets you know which agents were present in that area. He also has 2 flashes that are thrown projectiles, with the ability to toss right in front of you. These pop flashes that KO can do are some of the most powerful flashes in the game, as they come at you so fast you have such little time to react and you will be most likely be flashed. He also has a molly that does not require line of sight to hit enemies, so if they're behind a wall but the molly radius is still under them, they will take damage. KO's ultimate, Null Command, gives KO a rate of fire stim boost similar to Reyna, but also constantly pulses out the suppression ability to nearby enemies. KO also cannot die during his ult. Rather, he will become downed, and a teammate needs to revive him before his ult ends. If you want to be an initiator that has a unique kit and ability compared to all the other initiators, then KO is the one for you. Well, those are all of the initiators currently in Valorant. Which agent speaks to you the most and why? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.